Hello, hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Learning to Code by Making Games featuring Pico 8. Actually, it's not episode 2, it's going to be episode 1.1 because I want to go into functions. I feel like I used them, but they didn't really explain what they were. So, get right into it. We have a number of functions on the screen at the moment. There is R&D, which is a function that's built into Pico 8. There is FLR, floor, which is also a function built into Pico 8. And we're actually defining our own function, draw, here. And we know that Pico 8 will call this function. They will use this function for us. So what is a function? A function is just a block of code that you can call repeatedly and reuse, basically. To create the function, you need to type the keyword function and then pick a name. And it can be any name at all, barring some exceptions. So I can name the function draw stuff. Then I have to type parentheses and then so now I have created an empty function, and when this function is called, and we'll show you how to do that in a moment, everything inside the function will be executed. So to make this draw function a bit cleaner, I will move its contents here. And I will rename this to not draw stuff, but I want to express that this is like the main game loop. So I'm just going to say draw game. I can get rid of this right now, and this is it. Functions have access to variables that are defined in their outside scope. So if I want to use this guess variable in a function, then that's perfectly fine. So now I have this draw game function, but if I run the game, then nothing happens, because actually the draw function here is empty. So now I need to call the function that I created. To call a function means to invoke it, means to execute it, means to just run the code inside. So let's do that right now. To call a function, you need to type its name and then parentheses. And that's it. So now it's being called. And that's basically it to functions. There are two more things that I need to cover because they will be useful later on. The first being arguments. I will create a new function and call this add. And now in the parentheses, I will type something else. So I will say A and B. And I will say end. And here I will print A and I will print B. So A and B here are called arguments. Arguments can change the way a function behaves. So for example, if you have a print name function, you can give the name in as an argument, and then you can print a different name every single time you call the function. So here we are just taking in A and B, and we are printing both of them to the screen. So if I go to, again, if I run this now, nothing will change. But if I go to my draw function and I run add, maybe add is actually, okay, let's call it. I'm torn. It's so hard to name things. I'll call this type. Please forgive me and bear with me. So I'll just call this type, and I will give it 1 and 2. So now it prints 1 and 2. If I give it a string, text, more text, then it prints those strings. So basically, you see here, I'll just quickly copy this. When I define the function, I call my arguments a and b, and when I run the function, I pass them in and their values, and now inside the function, this a and this b will refer to those values. So basically, if I would have only one of these, then it would only take in a, and it would only print. And these, again, these are like variables. This can be anything, like almost anything. And this is over. Okay. Now, one final thing is the idea of returning something from the function. So we already did this. We said that this function returns true if button number 5 is being pressed. That means that it evaluates to true. The end result of the function is true. The end result of the FLR function is the rounded down number that is passed in. The end result of the R&D function is a random number between 0 and whatever is passed in. So let's try and create something similar. I will now create a function called add, and I will name my parameters or arguments. You can see both terms being used, A and B. And to return something, I need to use the keyword return. And I will return A plus B. So now we actually have quite a useful function. I will go here, create a new variable called result, and this will be whatever I get back from the add function. And my first argument will be 10, and my second argument will be, let's say, 43. So this will become A, this will become B, and the result will be A plus B. So this will be evaluated, it will be returned, and then it will end up living in this variable. So to test this, I can go to my draw, I can get rid of this. I'll print result and print the variable result. Now was nil. Okay, oh my god. What went wrong? Is it possible because I am defining the function before I'm calling the function before I'm defining it? Let's see. Yes, it was. Okay, perfect. So the function did not exist when this line was executed. It was created below, but now it is created before. So now, whenever I change the arguments, it will change the output. And I can do all sorts of things here. I can say is greater, so A and B, if A is greater than B, nil. Okay, now calling it is greater, didn't change the name, so it's false. But if I make this 1, 1, 2, then it's true. So these are functions. They're very useful because they allow you to create a basically a block of code that you can reuse with different entities. So let's say that we are making a word guessing game. We can have an guess function that will take in a letter and it will check if that letter occurs in the word. And that can be one function, but the input will change on every single guess, for example. And we will do exactly that in the next episode. But I hope that this helped you understand functions a little bit better. I must admit that when I was learning to program, this was the most difficult concept. I had no idea what it meant to these in here. What did the return mean? Like, where did this go? So it can be very difficult. And I hope that you reach out in the comments if you have any questions. I'm happy to help and happy to try and explain further. Yeah, thank you. Best of luck.